When people learn I'm an economist at a social gathering of non-economists, one of the first reactions I get is, "Oh, I failed that class in college." I hate that. Here's this topic I find so fun, so interesting and intuitive, and others see it as the bane of their freshman year. The other reaction I'll sometimes get is, "Well, do you have any stock tips?" That question is almost as bad. I'm no finance guru, so I can tell you to buy low and sell high, and that's about it. But here's the thing. Economics isn't just about money and markets. It's about how we make decisions in a world of limited resources. I'm Dr. Anna Klis, and this is EconoPop. So who am I to be your guide through this exploration of economics? I'm an associate professor at Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, Illinois. My specialty is game theory, which I apply to the subfields of environmental and public economics. My driving motivation, my raison d'être, d'étudier in economics, is to study how people and countries coordinate to benefit the public good, whether through reducing negative externalities like emissions and overfishing, or by contributing more to positive public goods. I pushed through grad school at UT Austin and graduated in 2015, which means I've been at NIU for about 10 years now. When I'm not teaching or researching, I enjoy playing video games, tap dance, and lately some kickboxing. And speaking of teaching, I'm passionate about active pedagogy through team-based learning. I was introduced to this approach during my time at UT Austin, where I learned from incredible educators like Drs. Marilla Sfinnicky and Michael Sweet, through a course in the Ed Psych department. The class wasn't just about creating syllabi, though that helped, but also a discussion and demonstration of the science of learning and especially effective pedagogical techniques. The one I fell in love with was team-based learning, or TBL. TBL creates permanent, structured, diverse, strategic teams that work together throughout the semester. It's an incredible way to connect students who might not otherwise interact, and it transforms the classroom dynamic completely. I've used it in literally all my undergraduate classes. It just makes so much sense about why groups work well on certain tasks like evaluation and judgment, and not on others. The more creative things that make typical group work hard or unfulfilling. This podcast actually grew out of a class I taught this past spring. An honors seminar called Private Valuation, or How to Get People to Tell You What They Really Want. I had wanted to try my hand at teaching an honors seminar for a few years now, since I really enjoyed introducing economics to non-majors and turning their viewpoint around on the field. When the yearly theme was announced as fantasy/reality, I had a light bulb moment. I wanted to teach myself more about contingent valuation and surveys for some research projects I'm working on in environmental economics. Meanwhile, I also knew quite a bit about auctions, but rarely got to cover them in my game theory classes. So I decided to stitch these two topics together with the common thread of valuation. The course was heavily motivated by the concept of hypothetical bias. The fantasy portion is what someone says they're willing to pay in a hypothetical scenario. Oh, sure, I'd pay $50 to preserve that wetland. But the reality is what people actually do when real money is involved. Getting that concept of what do you want out of fantasy and into reality, that's what connected perfectly with the theme. In the first half of the class, we covered auctions. First and second price, Dutch and English, all pay. We used a platform called MobLab to play economic experiments together and see these concepts in action. These were great, though it's always hard to get the experiments to be value constructive when the reward is a participation grade. Even when I gave 9 points for participating and 1 point for having a positive account at the end, not going beyond your value, I would still get students bidding just to win. For our midterm, I designed an innovative group exam based on the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, spectrum auction from Paul Milgram's Discovering Prices. Students had to analyze this complex auction mechanism through 3 phases of the exam. First, a short answer question they answered individually. Then, each team worked together to create a diagram of the auction process. And finally, there was collaboration between teams to put it all together and answer another short answer question on the board. You'll actually hear more about this auction in an upcoming episode of EconoPop. After spring break, we moved into willingness to pay surveys, including contingent valuation and discrete choice experiments. We studied different survey types from both marketing and environmental economics lenses and dove into experimental economics principles. Everyone completed human subjects research training from the Collaborative Institutional Training Initiative, CITI, and we discussed the principles of the Belmont Report, which guides interaction with human subjects: respect for persons, beneficence, and justice. Economic surveys are generally low-risk studies, but these principles felt important for the students to learn about. It also highlights the difference between economic experiments, which, as a rule agreed upon by practitioners, do not employ deception, and psychology experiments, which may do so. The students also learned about concepts like dominant incentives, salience, and monotonicity, tying back into why contingent valuation surveys employ payment to elicit real willingness to pay. When it came time for the final assessment, I didn't want to do an exam. These students didn't need to memorize this material for future classes. The seminar was not a prerequisite for anything else. And frankly, I didn't feel like reading or grading lengthy academic papers either. I wanted something fun and light that would still develop their skills and demonstrate for me what they learned this semester. That's when I realized podcasting would be perfect. As Brett Zawielski writes in his article on educational podcasting, quote, "From the perspective of an educator, podcasts make a fantastic capstone project. Instead of relying upon rigid strategies of addressing a prompt like the 5-paragraph essay, students have to contend with a new medium and the challenge of sharing information in their own voice." End quote. So that's how EconoPop was born. Think of this as a limited release season approach. Season 1 features my combined Honors 310 and Econ 495 current topics classes. A future class may employ the same assignment and become a second season, or it might not. It really depends on whether this is the right assignment for future classes. In the coming episodes, you can look forward to listening to a variety of fascinating topics explored by my students. We'll have features on the FCC auction mechanism design, sound dampening as a public good, gun regulations and their value, and even a charming advice-style podcast on the economic value of love that's guaranteed to brighten your day. You'll also hear about soccer player drafts via auction from 2 players on the NIU men's soccer team. It's awesome to see them find English auction principles in a space that matters to them. 2 phenomenal ladies explore Shein's approach to irrational coupon codes and their countdown marketing strategies. We'll examine bubbles in the retro video game market and auction houses and investigate what the label Made in America is actually worth to consumers, timely given recent discussions about tariffs. Some students created great podcasts but preferred not to publish them. They covered topics like irrationality and behavioral economics, defining concepts like overconfidence bias. One student discussed his experience as a small meme account owner in high school and how influencer accounts are valued. He was insulted by an offer of a measly $150 for his account. He explained how factors like having a consistent niche and regular posting history can increase an account's value, and why the market value for an account might not match the price someone would accept for their existing account, prom photos and all. Other students explored the value of time in developed versus developing countries after returning from a mission trip to Jamaica, where they were struck by cultural differences in time perception and value. One student compared the feeling of competition in auctions to gambling, examining how competition can be fun, but also lead to irrationality and Pyrrhic victories where you win the item, but at a cost higher than you were actually willing to pay. A trio of finance students explained U.S. Treasury auctions and how they work as common value auctions, while 2 other students analyzed how different forms of art are valued, both physical and musical, describing famous works like those of Banksy and the experience of commissioning art. I named this podcast EconoPop because we're interacting with pop culture and popular topics through an economics lens. Plus, it's a pop-up podcast, appearing when we're ready with something interesting to share. In future episodes, we'll dive deeper into economic concepts and applications that actually matter in everyday life. No dry lectures or complex mathematical models. Unless that's your thing, then I've got plenty of those too. Just accessible, engaging discussions about the economics all around us. So whether you aced your econ classes or still have nightmares about supply and demand curves, there's something here for you. Economics doesn't have to be the class you failed in college. It can be fascinating, intuitive, and even fun. Thank you for listening to this first episode of EconoPop. The source quoted in this episode is an article hosted by the Bello Collective. Your final assignment is a podcast by Brett Zawilski, published in 2020 and available online. The podcast intro and outro song is Time With You by Toll F, featuring Rule NCS release, provided by No Copyright Sounds. Thank you to the Northern Illinois University 71 North Innovation Partnership Studio for access to the podcasting room, Jordan York for his work managing the studio schedule, and to Federico Bassetti for his inspiration and support. This season would also not have been possible without Macy Harris and Matthew D'Souza, the Spring 2025 71 North interns, for their amazing work helping my students record and edit their episodes over the span of 2 days. I'm Dr. Anna Klis, and you'll hear me next time when I introduce the student episodes. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a friend who might need to change their perspective on economics. Until next time.